Hi, I'm Gloria from Kosher by Gloria. This morning I'm making blintzes because after doing a very scientific poll on Facebook, the majority of people seem to want to see me make blintzes. I grew up with blintzes coming out of a frozen box, and no one ever made blintzes in my home. And so I decided last year, actually, for the first time, that I would try to make my own blintzes. In the past, I've made crepe for crepe Suzettes, and basically blintzes are a little bit thicker crepe, but it's the same sort of pour and swirl action, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. My good friend Julia Child, from whom I learned much of what I do many years ago, in her books, unfortunately not personally, even says in her books that you're going to mess up the first several crepe and don't worry about it, just keep on going. So that's what we're going to do. And just in case I don't mess any up, which would be unlikely, I saved a few I messed up yesterday to show you what they look like when I do mess up. So now I'm just going to strain it. I use Swan's Down cake flour instead of all-purpose flour because it makes for a lighter crepe. So you can use all-purpose flour if that's what you have. It's not that much difference, but occasionally you have little lumps. So I made it so the gluten in the flour could rest in between. And now I'm just going to strain it and get rid of any little lumps that may be there before I try to make the crepe for the blintzes. Oh, there we go. Get all those little, you see there's like a lot of little lumps in there that wouldn't make your blintzes attractive or taste good, so we get rid of those, and now we're good to go. So yesterday, the reason why I think I made such a mess was that I tried making the crepe with butter, and when I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, I went to Julia, and there on page 5 something or other, she said, use peanut oil. Well, I don't use peanut oil because my grandchildren are allergic to nuts. So I'm using grapeseed oil, which is very light, has no flavor. And you just brush this little crepe pan, which is a baked enamel pan, which I must have for, I'm guessing, maybe 30 years. The ones I made today, I think, have handles that don't get hot. So actually, I should take out a pot holder because these handles do get hot after you use them for a while, and then you burn yourself. So I'm going to turn on the stove. You have to wait until the oil starts to spackle a little bit. Just starts to spritz a little tiny bit. In terms of how much batter you put in, I did all kinds of research. So it's a little less than a 1/4 cup, and even Julia says sort of remember where the batter hits your measuring cup so that you can pour in the same amount each time. That's not really so scientific. It's a little less than this 1/4 cup. I measured it. It's sort of 1.15 ounces on a scale, but then you have to measure each time. Or it's a couple of tablespoons, but it depends how much you fill your tablespoon. Do you fill it to the tippy top? Do you fill it a little bit less? You don't even off a tablespoon with a knife, so I'm looking to see if this is heating. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is a little less than a 1/4 tablespoon. I don't know if you can see, it's not exactly the top. It's a little less than a 1/4 tablespoon. And I'm right-handed. I've tried it both ways. I think I've become sort of ambidextrous in doing this. I'm going to pour in the crepe pan, I'm going to pour the batter, and then I'm going to swirl. See, and the pan isn't really hot enough, so how fortunate that you will see the first one, not perfect. There we go. We can pour a little bit left in there. And now we just wait. You can see the sort of, well, I don't want to turn it, but we can see the holes. You also have to keep adjusting the heat. By the time you sort of adjust the heat to the right temperature, they just go really, really quickly. While this is getting ready, I will show you that I have a plate here lined with a piece of parchment. You can cut up wax paper, but it was sort of this, I had these square parchment pieces, and ready to put your crepe after they've been flipped. So I'm going, this is bubbling. Can you see it bubbling in there? I don't know. And now you see it's sticking. So these are one of the first ones. I don't have to show you yesterday's that are a mess because today's will be a mess. So we're just going to actually throw that out, and that is one messy first attempt at a crepe. So we'll take this out. I'm just going to throw it out here and get all of this out. Oops. We'll see if this works without washing the pan. Okay. I got to put a little more oil in. And get a little more batter. Okay, so those of you who have made blintzes a lot, maybe this doesn't happen to you, but for those who have never made them, this is what you can expect. There, see, that goes much better, that one, because it's hotter. And this is now bubbling. You can sort of tell when they're done when they not only bubble, but the edges of the crepe sort of raising off, sort of lifting themselves off the pan. And let's see. Oops, this one's not going to work so well either. I'll let it cook a little bit more. But as Julia says, it could take 3 or 4 before you get the right rhythm and the right heat. And basically, you can use these. I mean, no one will see them when they're filled with cheese. But the first one was really too messy. Okay. Oh, that's a little bit better, but not so much better. So I think we're going to get rid of that one too. I have a bunch of perfect ones that I made yesterday that I can show you, should this not work this morning. But we'll give it another try. Okay. Grapeseed oil. And we'll get some more. Oops. There we go. We'll let that cook a little bit. You see it's all bubbling around the sides. I don't know if this one will work or if it won't. When everything is everything comes right, they cook very fast and you don't have to stand here sort of watching it so long. But this is what learning is all about. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And you just keep on going. It may be time to get another crepe pan, although yesterday these worked just beautifully. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. There we go. There. See, that looks lovely. That just has to cook another second on that side. And then we're just going to slip it, take a pot holder because the handle is getting really hot. And we're just going to slip it right there. It just falls right off. And so I'm going to take the ones that I made yesterday. There we go. Take the ones that I made yesterday and see they're all wrapped up with parchment in between. You see how lovely that is? Now, if you're going to fry them, you would put them on the more brown side, which is this side. Not really brown, but I can see here it's brown around the edges. So you put the less brown side on the bottom and the more brown side towards you. And then this is my ricotta and cream cheese mixture with lemon zest. All these recipes are on kosherbygloria.com. And we're going to take a couple of tablespoons or 1 tablespoon. Here, we'll just take, sort of eyeball it a little bit. You put it toward the edge of the crepe and fold it over. And as you fold it, you press it a little bit to spread it out. And then you just fold it over and you have a blintz. And there we have 4 blintzes ready to go. If you were going to bake them, you would take the less brown side up and fill them, and so you would take the more brown side up and fill them so that the less brown side is brushed with butter, and then that gets baked. But I'm not going to bake them because frankly that takes too long for the moment. I'm going to, yep, that's still hot. Let's take this. we're going to move this pan, and we're going to take, this is a non-stick pan, which makes life much easier. I'm just going to take a little bit. Now I use the butter instead of the oil. Just take a little bit of butter. You don't need much, just a little bit, or maybe a tablespoon of butter in the pan. Bake those, and then we're going to put these blintzes in the pan and fry them. I'm going to make a sour cherry sauce because my husband and my daughter like cherries, and the sour cherries come in a bottle, and they have, you can use a liquid to thicken the cherries. And I'm going to add a little bit of creme de cassis, which just gives a little bit of a zing. And then I'm going to make blueberry sauce, which is already posted. I haven't posted the sour cherry sauce yet. Right, first, this is what's going to be seen. Whoops. If they unfold, you just have to fold it back. There we go. And we'll try two like this. Sometimes it's easier to seal the back first. So we'll do two one way and two the other. There we go. These don't take long to brown, and everything basically is cooked to begin with. And if you're going to serve them right away, you can make them a little browner. Oh, there. Depends where they are in the pan or whatever. If you're going to reheat them, I make them a little less brown so that when you reheat them and add a little bit of melted butter on top, you don't overcook them. And these freeze. The crepes freeze by themselves. You just have to let them defrost before you try to roll them, obviously, a good couple of hours. Or you can put them in a very low oven. Two blintzes there. And then we have these we have to flip again to make these. Yeah. Two blintzes there. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is make the sauces. So here is the sour cherry sauce. This is 3 cups of sour cherries. This is the, it's about a cup of the sour cherry liquid mixed with cornstarch. I find it easier to mix things with cornstarch when they're in a bottle, because then all you have to do is shake it up and it all gets mixed up and you don't get the little white bits. Pour that in. And we turn on heat and then just wait till it heats up and stir it around. And when it's all finished, I'm going to add like a splash of creme de cassis, which just gives it a nice extra level of flavor for the blintzes, a little more grown up. I started with frozen blueberries, which I defrosted. So the blueberries have a little bit of their own liquid. I'm going to start these back here. And this is a mixture of sugar and cinnamon. So I'm going to add these, the sugar and cinnamon, to the blueberries and cornstarch. Stir it around. Whoops. Okay. And let's see if we can do these both at the same time. Whoops. And not burn anything. This is beginning to simmer and it'll start to thicken up in a minute. And this, I'm going to, whoops. You can see the blueberries and the sugar are mixing in here. You can add a little lemon juice to this if you like. A little lemon zest certainly is always good. If you pick up the liquid and you can see that it just sort of plops, it's not thick enough. You want it to have a little bit of thickness, but not too much, because it has to be able to pour. Okay, so basically the blueberries are done. Oops, turned the wrong oven. Okay, here we go. We're just gonna, can add a little more cornstarch if necessary, but I'd rather just take a little more time. going, we can try the blueberry sauce and you can see what that looks like over. Okay, so isn't that lovely? You can actually take some fresh blueberries and mix it in with the ricotta cheese mixture if you like blueberries in your cheese. And you can also garnish it with loads of with fresh fruit, with berries, with blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. Somehow, if you go to a restaurant, they always put a slice of orange with it. I don't know why they put oranges as a condiment with Blintzes. It's just, I don't know, maybe they twist pretty, maybe whatever. I don't really get it. I prefer to have the fruit, but that's just a. Now we're going to take it off the flame before we add the liqueur, so you don't have a fire. Just like a little teaspoon. This is hot too. So where did I put my pot holder? I put it somewhere. Okay. Well, we'll take a towel. I don't know where it is, but here. I'm not going to burn myself. I'll put it somewhere. Okay. Here we go. And we have sour cherries. So if you're serving this to company, you can just make a big platter of Blintzes and serve all the sauces in separate bowls on the side, and everybody can have the fruit of their choice or mix up the fruit or do whatever they want. And you've got some lovely homemade Blintzes for your family, whether it's for Shavuot or whether it's for any dairy meal for anything. And they freeze without the sauces. You would freeze them without the sauces with wax paper between the layers. Hope you enjoyed seeing my mistakes and possibly my successes, and see you again. Thank you. Bye.